Welcome back, Billiken fans. Zach Miller, Peter Hale. This is the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, this episode and this whole season of the Midtown Madness Podcast is brought to you by Two Men in a Garden. Not only is it Billiken season again, but as we head further into fall, the NFL season is back. And you know what goes great with football on Sundays? Chips and salsa. Whether you like your salsa mild or hot, chunky or cantina style, the people over at Two Men have you covered. You can pick up their products at any local grocery stores or online at twomeninthegarden.com. Follow them on social media at Two Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter. Peter, this weekend, man. This weekend, it was weird. It was real weird.
It was. And I knew I was in trouble when I sat down on my couch to have the first relaxing night to myself in I don't know how long. And all of a sudden my phone starts buzzing nonstop for the next hour and a half. Yeah, it was a weird weekend. I thought, after all these like kids' soccer games and birthday parties that ate up my weekend, I could step out and be an adult for a night. And unfortunately, no, there was a slap fight going on.
I'm sorry. It was a right cross knockout, Peter.
That's more accurate.
It was an absolute I don't even know. I'm so lucky that response came to me. Like, it was purely luck, because if it wasn't if I wouldn't have gone with Norfolk and Wake, because honestly, that's probably what it took to get a reaction. And Pete, if you want to, why don't you kind of run down from your perspective and kind of tell everybody what happened if you weren't on Twitter?
From my perspective, Zach on the official Midtown Madness podcast account decided to clap back at Kim English a little bit. The Kim English, former Mizzou player and the head coach at George Mason University, one of our A10 rivals, was on Twitter saying, I guess he dropped a Mizzou specific song that he said was the best song of 2012.
It's an absolute, it is the peak, like early 10s white guys viral rap.
And I remember it from back in the day too. And it's one of those things I watched and never felt the need to watch again after having a laugh at it. But yeah, it was a very Mizzou specific silly little internet thing from 10 years ago. And so Zach's reply to him was Norfolking Way, because Mizzou, a 2 seed that season, lost to Norfolk State, a 15 seed in the first round of the NCAA tournament, moments before SLU and Memphis tipped off in Columbus. And rather than just move on, Coach English decided to respond, Zach.
Yeah. I'm lucky because I was out and about having a good time, and it certainly contributed to me going at him, but I'm lucky I had the wherewithal to he said 2012, and I'm lucky that I made the connection. Normally I would just probably have left it. I don't know. There's no way I would have left it, but he really thought he had us.
So what you probably have, because the one piece of advice I gave to you was just keep some screenshots, just in case you weren't thinking about that.
Yes.
I was take screenshots. So why don't you walk us through what his responses were? Because there were several. This wasn't just a single back and forth. It went on for a little.
It got funny too, because it was I only have the initial one because it was so dumb. It was the most, how do you not know? So I said, Norfolk and Way, dude. He said, who'd your team play in the 2012 NCAA tournament? Asking for a friend. To which I responded with a screen cap from ESPN app of SLU, number 9 seeded SLU, 61, number 8 seeded Memphis, 54. And then I don't remember really what he went at after that, honestly. And I think he's probably deleted it. Because
he deleted at least the first couple tweets.
Yeah, he did. So, but he said it was funny because, like, he said, like, full disclosure, or somebody was saying something about, okay, for what it's worth, people went at him, right, all over the place. And just, like, he really thought he did something there. And he said, for what it's worth, I was driving. Just wasn't used to those SLU teams dancing. I've accepted my L. I'm bowing out. Okay.
Yeah. To which Zach replies, really? They danced 3 years in a row, only stopped by the death of a legendary coach.
Yeah. I mean, it's just...
Nope. 09, 10, 11. And then, you...
Oh, yeah, no. He said, full disclosure... in Missouri, saw the tweet at a red light. Because the people went at him for texting while driving.
Right.
That was the funniest part. And the funniest part about it is he felt the need to, like, explain that he wasn't texting and driving, which is amazing. Like, that's such a microcosm of the world we live in, to where, like, as a public figure, you have to, like, make sure everybody knows. Like, it reminds me of, like, back, like, when COVID was way more prevalent. It was like at the end of movies and TV shows, they'd be like, this episode was filmed with all health and safety protocols, and you're like, okay, like sure, whatever, fine. And, like, nobody needed to be told that. He said, full disclosure, in Missouri, saw the tweet at a red light. Didn't do the research I should have because I was driving. We can discuss on your pod next season before we play in St. Louis over bad pizza. And I said, really? I said that. And then he said, nope. I said the thing about 3 years in a row. He said, nope, 2009, 2010, 2011. I said, how did you graduate college with such poor reading comprehension? He said, because when I say those SLU teams, I meant during my 4th season. Short answer. By the way, he's not invited on the podcast.
See, okay, this is exactly where you and I diverge a little bit, because there was that point where he accepted the fact that you dunked on him, or I think somebody else put it, you blocked his dunk or something like that. And rather than at that point when he's like, we can discuss over bad pizza, I would have been like, you're on. Like, we'll give us a half hour, and we've got a show that will appeal to SLU, Mizzou, George Mason, 3 different fan bases. We'll do some numbers. We've got this kind of young, up and coming, hot new coach at George Mason on. There's a little bit of rivalry in 2 directions from SLU. There's some. It can be friendly. There can be lots of banter. We could have him on. But Zach decided to be the hardcore SLU fan and be and kind of go at him a little bit.
What I said, are you talking about Shakespeare's, right? That was my next reply when I went at him for the bad pizza comment. How do you, like, you're literally a Mizzou alumni. How do you alienate St. Louis fans like that? Like, that's so odd. Like, you can always say that, like, nobody cares if you say, like, Chicago is better than, like, X, like, emos, right? You can say that. Like, nobody's going to get riled up over it. But it's, like, just, he can come on the show. You want to invite him on? Let's go. Let's go.
I think, did he delete the tweet where he said we could discuss over?
No, he did not.
He didn't delete that one. Okay.
No.
Maybe we let it simmer for a few months and then retweet that or quote tweet that or something. Because, like, rather than kind of get a little nastier with him, that would have been the one where I, like, would have seized and been like, you're on. But again, I'm talking about, like,
and you're talking from a perspective of being moderately sober, I would assume. Maybe a couple, maybe a glass of wine or two, maybe. I was in one.
Exactly. We were in much different states, much different frames of mind at that point. And yeah, that's where I would have zigged where you zagged. Either way, you got a lot more Twitter cred for it. Whereas, like the stuff that we've done on Twitter that seems to be the most liked has come from your keyboard or your phone.
I'm
And
the chucklehead.
Slew fans ate this up. I mean, I gotta say, like, and not just Slew fans, but we had some other A10 Twitter heads kind of egging us on here.
Yeah, I loved Ghost McHistory. He said, he was the one who said that. He said, I said, Kim English getting dunked on tonight is not something we anticipated. He said, I disagree. He didn't get dunked on. He went for the dunk, and you guys blocked the attempt so hard he's in the shadow realm, which is a great Yu-Gi-Oh reference, by the way.
Yeah, which is, again, something maybe I'm a little old for, but
yeah, I might have. Yeah,
my siblings know what's up. Regardless, this was like, yeah, you're right.
Peak A10 Twitter in September.
Kim English has to know better than to go at A10.
Why would you? Why? Yeah. But thank you for giving us all the engagement we could ever want.
Yeah, that's right.
But
we got new followers out of that. Bunch of likes, retweets, quote tweets. We got more action than we ever would have expected.
But hey, Kim English wasn't the only one to take a big L this weekend. Our favorite basketball player turned YouTuber turned scam artist got knocked the F out by a guy named Anderson Gibb at Social Gloves 2. Now, you're saying, Zach, Austin McBroom he did Social Gloves 1. That didn't go over well. No. This guy has been... he's been promoting Social Gloves 2 in order to pay the fighters from Social Gloves 1. Social Gloves is now, I believe, officially a Ponzi scheme. I don't know. He's also being sued for $100 million. And his wife is being sued for $60 million by a cosmetics company. This is insane. But I want to focus on the knockout, and Pete has not seen this yet. This is not raw highlight. This is an edited video of the highlight, humorously edited, and I have to show our good friend Peter here.
I have absolutely zero interest, but for the sake of being a good sport.
Yes,
I'm seeing the screenshot here, and I'm already rolling my eyes.
I'm hoping that you can hear the sound. Let me see. Let me see if I can do. I hope that you can hear the. Okay. Sorry, oh God. Hold on, I had to think about it for a second.
I really hope our listeners have an appetite for more Austin McBroom content, because I certainly do not.
Hold on. The default microphone has changed, so here we go.
When someone gets knocked out, they get beat really bad. You know how that clip just keeps playing over and over and over again?
You ain't never faced anybody as athletic as I am, as fast, as quick, and as strong. I really hope he's serious, because in this game he gets seriously hurt. He just happens to be somebody that's going to get embarrassed that night, unfortunately.
Yes, he has experience, but he's just not on my level.
It's going to be a quick fight. He's not getting past 3 rounds.
He was right. That's well, it's embarrassing for McBroom. I mean, this is not a new thing to boxing, to talk a bunch of trash like that before a fight and get, as you said, knocked the F out. I'm happy to see McBroom get beaten down like that. I mean, this is like, something I've always said here is, like, when SLU players transfer, when they graduate, whatever they're doing at the next level, I'm always rooting them on for success in their lives. That is not true about Austin McBroom. Watching him get his clock cleaned is very satisfying. He seems like a bad person. And I think everything about his post-SLU persona and career, if you can call it that, it's just, social media attention economics is trash. And yeah, so I wish nothing but the worst for him. I hope all those fighters who didn't get paid last time find a way to get even with them and get their money back somehow.
Yeah, it's an absolute debacle over there with the Ace family. It's the F family, really.
Yeah, if you're not
It
familiar
is.
with them and Austin McBroom and the Ace family, I normally would tell you to like look it up and check it out, but like don't give them the
No, no,
opportunity.
no. So what you need to do is, and we're gonna do. We may go down a rabbit hole one day for just like 30 minutes and make Pete watch some of the commenters that go in. Go look at guys like Drew Gooden, CoffeeZilla. Go. Who's the one I just watched? But yeah, these commenters that look into scams and all this, like they comment on social media influencers, I guess. But yeah, I mean, there's
Which
so
in and
much
of
stuff.
itself is frequently a scam.
Yeah, I mean, even as of like recently, there was a video where his ex sister-in-law accused them of trying to kill somebody. Oh, again,
They're
allegedly,
all bad
allegedly.
people. This is
Oh,
all
they're
bad
they're
people.
terrible.
Well, yeah, my least favorite thing in all of pop culture is probably like all the Kardashian stuff. I just like I
Oh
hate
yeah,
that, and this is like the Z grade level of that. This is just like
they all
just
rent mega
they
mansions
want
and
to be that, and they're just
yes,
like the trashiest, worst version of that. So
yes. All
yeah,
right,
keep fighting, keep losing, Austin.
let's let's recap a little bit of Billiken night at Busch, Pete. Who threw out the first pitches and who did you think had the best throwing for him?
We had Yuri Collins, we had Rebecca Tillett, and Johnny Klein. So good representation across the athletic program, men's and women's soccer, men's basketball. Collins, former baseball player himself, he bounced one in pretty close. He could have gotten somebody to swing at that, I think. Tillett threw what looked like a strike, and then I didn't have a good angle on Klein's, but
Yeah, I think it was just a bit outside
just a bit outside. Yeah, well,
as
he's a soccer player, um, but yeah, no, it's very cool to see them all do that. And Yuri even said maybe he'll have to lace him back up again someday. And he used to play baseball.
be like
It's
a be like a Deion Sanders situation.
right. That would be
Yes.
awesome. But yeah, it seemed like another successful slew night at the ballpark. Great to see it happen. What do you think of the giveaway item this year?
It
I heard
wasn't
it
my
was,
favorite.
yeah, it was a hat, and people were kind of torn on it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it just I would like that kind of hat, but like blue hat isn't really something that I mean, unless it's like all blue. I don't know. It was merging two very different aesthetics, like understated hat with a gray front and like a leather like logo, and then like a loud color like blue. I just didn't. It didn't appeal to me. I thought it was trying to do too many things at once, and or just didn't. It missed the mark, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean there have been some other years like I think my favorite all time that they've done, they did that kind of like blue kind of 80s cut like style
yeah.
V-neck like batting
Mesh.
practice jersey
Yeah, yeah,
mesh bat.
yeah.
I thought that was an awesome item, and I probably that's definitely one I would probably grab on eBay if it popped back up someday.
Yeah, I
But
have I have one of those in my closet right now, and there is one on eBay, I'm sure.
I think for
I
the most part they've done a really nice job on this stuff, and it's also not like slapped with
but it's
ads
not a
all over.
giveaway either. It's a theme night.
That's true. That's true. Right. It's
So
not. It's
so
not a.
they do have the yeah.
Misnamed it there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they have the benefit of basically I if you're not familiar with theme nights, it's you buy a ticket to the game and then you pay like $10 for the theme item. And
Right.
they'll do it with all the colleges around town. And then they'll do like 420 night, Pride night. It's just and 420 is obviously what's it, Jimmy Buffett night, I think, or Grateful Dead night. They
Okay.
they
All
do
right.
all like the Beatles will have a night. Star Wars definitely has a night.
Yeah.
But Blues do it too. Cardinals. I think the Billikens tried a little bit, but it wasn't. I think it's harder because people, you can skip a bunch of Cardinal games, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't skip Billiken games, and I don't know if people want to pay an extra $10 on top of their ticket already. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, speaking of baseball, I want to rant a little bit for a second, not super heavy, and of course I know what our fans or our listeners think is that this is going to be another rant about volleyball, and it's not. As I said, baseball is what I want to talk about. And I, when I talk about volleyball, I talk about underperforming, and really what baseball has been doing for the last, 15, 10, since Hendo got here, right, has been overperforming based on its support, both internal and external. Now, internally, from what I understand from conversations I've had with alumni, Hendrickson is pretty much on his own to market the program to donors and alumni. He's the one who got the turf infield. He's the one who got the donor the donor to put up the money for the batting cages, the hitting cages. He's the one who got the money for the new wall around the field. Externally, I think we need more people that are passionate about baseball and passionate about the Billikens to take an interest in this program, both financially and non-financially. I mean, you talk about just the stadium in general doesn't seem to be in great shape all the time. The soccer field's always looking great. Baseball field doesn't have that. I mean, is there anyone out there that can partner with the athletic department to provide services? Baseball specific services. I know, there's a difference between landscaping a soccer field and landscaping a baseball field. I mean, it is a little bit more nuanced as well as softball too. So, I mean, I don't know. I really would love to help. And I mean, obviously we know that I do not possess the amount of funds to help. Is there anything we can do out there? Our listeners, if you would be interested in, I'd run around the freaking warning track all day. If we can get money per lap, I don't know. It's annoying, and I want this baseball program. This baseball program has such great potential in its staff. I mean, look at what Hendrickson has done with no real stadium, just bleachers, no press box, no locker room really to speak of next to the field. Soccer just got one. I think baseball, given their NCAA appearances the last, again, 10 to 15 years, they've done what you've asked and more, and it's time that fans of baseball and fans of the Billikens step up, as well as I think the institution in a lot of ways. So that's where I stand. Pete, I don't know if you have anything to say.
The baseball facilities are something that has definitely popped up in conversations among SLU fans. I know on our message boards on Twitter, I've seen things where it's just kind of like people sort of wonder why we can't do a little bit better, especially now that we're seeing in the last 5+ years, there are high schools in the St. Louis area who are building like legit baseball facilities. Like, a lot of people listen to this know I went to Chaminade, and they built kind of like a permanent press box bleacher seating. Like, it's not really even bleachers, like a permanent seating area behind the diamond, like legit kind of dugouts, good looking wall. I mean, it all looks really, really nice compared to what was there back when I went there. And that's happening at a lot of other schools as well. We look at lower division schools in the area. Lindenwood on its way up to D1. Maryville has spent heavily on athletics. There are a lot of programs in the area, even lower division or D1, that have invested money in what we would call non-revenue sports, and they have pretty great looking baseball facilities. And I just sort of wonder, like, SLU is a school that has so much in the way of facilities, athletic and non-athletic. We've really been successful with capital campaigns in recent years. I mean, we saw the Laughlin Family Champion Center, the soccer facility. I kind of feel like it's baseball's turn if there's going to be a legit capital campaign. But if there's not, I mean, is there anything we can do aside from just kind of making noise in our own little way here?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of up to what our listeners would do, honestly. Like I said, look, I'll run around the freaking warning track. If you guys pledge money, I'll run around it 12 hours. I don't care. I don't care. If we can get enough money, I'll do it. I think we've been banging. It's the press box is one of those things. Like, if you could add a press box and at minimum, I'm saying at minimum, if you could add a press box and brick around the bleachers, I mean, just from a purely aesthetical sense, recruits see that and it looks 10 times better.
Yeah.
Right now it looks like a high school field. It really does.
I know, and we've said this on other shows. I think when we got several months ago, and we got Carter Chapley on here and West Pine Bills to kind of talk a little bit of roundtable. I think the consensus was, in a sport like baseball and softball, which is right there too. I mean, a little bit goes a long way. They don't need a new arena. They don't need a new stadium. We're not talking about a big sport here.
Maybe 500 to 1,000 seats.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, yes, it would be expensive. And I know like construction costs are out of control right now. But at least, see what's out there. And, we know baseball alums. We know there's a really nice network of good, successful baseball alums in the St. Louis area and outside of it. And it's not just them. It's anybody who kind of supports the athletic program and realizes, a lot of the other teams kind of have what they need right now. And I think that's one kind of glaring area where you could really step up and show that your whole athletic program is serious.
Yeah, again, it's from the bottom to the top. That's where you have to, if your commitment at the bottom doesn't show you're committed to athletics, it looks a little rough. Obviously you bring basketball players on campus, potential student athletes, you bring soccer prospects on campus, like all that stuff, like it may not matter, like it may not be the defining factor to most, but like, hey, like if this is like this, I don't know. Obviously it's probably not that big of a deal, but it's still something you want to present to people walking to the basketball games, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Like you walk through both fields. Like if both fields look sweet, like I went over to Maryville. That place is sweet.
Yeah.
Like I work over that way. Like it's all really freaking nice. And I just don't know why we can't church up the baseball and softball fields at least a little bit, make it look, a desirable place to go watch a game. Because that's what you've got free marketing for your baseball stadium or your baseball team and your softball team. Every time people go to Chaffetz, they got to walk through.
Right.
Fix it. That's all I'm saying. Fix it. Men's soccer. UIC game got canceled Monday evening. And again, this is the second time in as many years that UIC has made a blunder with their schedule. UIC played Loyola. Apparently this date was double booked by the Flames. So again, 2 years in a row. I'm not sure you want to put them back on the schedule.
Yeah, that's pretty frustrating and pretty strange too. I can't believe that happened. And it's weird to look at the men's and women's schedules right now. And the women have played twice as many games as the men. I know they started a week earlier, but that's still weird. Like 4 is a big gap for 2 teams playing in the same season.
Yeah, it is, and it's odd. Like I feel like I've missed so many women's soccer games, but like 4 men's soccer games. I don't know. It's so wild.
Right.
But the men played on Friday night. An unfortunate result for the Billikens, Peter.
Yeah, we talked about SMU being just a really legit men's program. We tied down there last season. We've got an SMU transfer on the roster. And they came in and hung a 3-0 loss on SLU. Like you said, unfortunate result. And this leaves SLU at 1-3 with the loss, and it's been a disappointing, tough start to the season, Zach.
Yeah, it has. And I think growing pains were expected. I think it's tough. You've got so much roster turnover. Obviously, we saw struggles with the system the year prior to the Elite Eight run. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing now, is a little bit of the same kind of ailment for the men's soccer team. In this game, SMU got on the board really early in the second minute. Newt Ollander, assist by Alexander Petraeus right on the doorstep, his 6th goal of the season. In the 52nd minute, Petraeus scored himself, assisted by Frederick Skilberg, which is a great freaking name. Skilberg passed it after a nice run. 71st minute, Kyron Chambron Pino scored on an absolute pill of a free kick. SMU outshot SLU 18-12, including 6-2 on goal. 14-9 the fouls in this one. SLU had 14. Another chippy game. As you said, SLU drops to 1-3 with the loss. But upcoming is the Bronze Boot. It just means more, Peter.
It does, at SIUE on Tuesday night, the 13th, at 7 p.m. I think that's St. Louis time. Do I have that right? I do. 7 p.m. St. Louis and Edwardsville time there. I put it in Eastern in our notes accidentally, out of habit there. But yeah, it's the Bronze Boot, Zach. And I mean, do we know anything about SIUE this season?
I mean, they tend to be good. I don't know much. Let's see.
3-1-1.
Yeah. They beat a very tough Lindenwood team 2-0. I joke. They've got a loss against Loyola Marymount at CSUN. What the hell is CSUN?
That's Cal State Northridge.
Oh, Jesus. How did I not know that? Big 5-1 win against Southern Indiana and a 1-0 squeaker against Western Illinois. Again, their only loss was to Loyola Marymount. So, I don't know. It's not a great schedule there. Loyola Marymount obviously has put out decent teams in the past. So, I think it'll be a close game, as it always is. I mean, I'm thinking a tie or a Billiken win in this one personally.
I do. I gotta say, I do appreciate Loyal or SIUE puts Bronze Boot on their schedule. They have that kind of listed under SLU, whereas SLU does not.
I wonder if SLU would if it was at SLU.
That's a good point.
I want to say they have in the past, but I am not sure. They did not, or at least it's no longer there. A lot of the schools put in whatever theme night or whatever promotion. They do a lot more promotions than I think SLU does. I mean, they do have the homecoming game on there for SIUE. SLU does homecoming and fireworks at halftime. That's against VCU, obviously. But talking about in conference, the Billikens will kick off their conference slate at LaSalle on the 17th at 5 p.m. Central Time. Pete, what are we thinking here with this SLU team? Are they in trouble? I mean, obviously, it seems like an auto bid is probably out of the question. Or not an auto bid, I'm sorry, an at-large bid.
Right. Yeah, I think that's fair to say at this point. The auto bid would be the only way in. So it's a little bit different than on the women's side because the women have a more clear line between non-conference and conference. But the men do have some more non-conference games. They play Marquette later this month. They play IUPUI in mid-October.
That's now Indiana University at Indianapolis.
Right.
I just learned that.
IUI, I think is what it will be once the rebrand is complete.
Apparently, they didn't even field a basketball team last year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they sat. Was it last year or the year before? They sat the season
either way, that's insane.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of level of panic, I'm not panicked here. We knew we weren't going to be what we were last year. We still kind of hope that this team coming in as a preseason number 10, based on what everybody thought of their returning and incoming talent, would be a tournament team again. Maybe it'll just take time. Think about the women's team last season, which really struggled in the non-conference schedule, really struggled, and then lost a couple games in conference for the first time in years. All is not lost. That team by the end of the year won the conference tournament, got back in the NCAA tournament, and won a game there. So anything is possible if you can beat your conference. And I think SLU definitely has a chance to do that. They're struggling to defend right now, and they've just got to learn the system. They've got to come together. All these new pieces have to click in order for it to work.
On the positive side here with St. Louis University Athletics, women's soccer continues to play at a really high level after their little misstep with Notre Dame. In a wild finish, the Billikens beat Xavier 3-2. That was on Thursday the 8th. This game was wild, Peter.
It was, and I'm so disappointed I couldn't be there to see it. Like I said last week, I found out at the last minute that I had to travel for work, so I was driving home from Wisconsin when this when this was all happening, somewhere in rural Indiana, and unfortunately, I missed this one, which only happened a couple miles from my house.
Pete, why don't you run us down the scoring in this one? I before we go on, I at some point want to talk about the Xavier keeper because I thought she was not good in this one. I thought she was the direct result of the Billikens winning this game, honestly.
Yeah, well, the same couldn't be said of our keeper. So in the 10th minute, Emma Rogers from Xavier scored off an assist from Emma Flick. And then in the 15th minute, 5 minutes later, Katie Hauk lobbed in a free kick from a little inside the half line. Xavier's keeper got her hands on it, but it was a little too high. And we had a tie game. Hauk's first career goal, and it was just a bomb of a free kick. I think she just was dealing it up there and seeing what happened, and got picked off a goal from it. 31st minute, Emma Flick.
What a great name, by the way.
Emma Flick, yeah. If your name's Emma, you got points in this game for Xavier. From Reagan Dancer.
Another great name, Jesus.
And Xavier had a 2-1 lead at halftime. That one came in the 31st minute. Early in the second half, Emily Puricelli made, I think, what, Zach, we would probably call the save of the season so far.
I mean, it will be the save of the season in all of women's college soccer.
Just an incredible stop. Xavier player made a nice move to kind of stop, spin, and cut out to her left. She lost two SLU defenders kind of to the outside, and just ripped a nice curving ball into the top far corner. I bet she probably felt pretty good about that as soon as she let it go. And there's our keeper to somehow get a hand there, and it was kind of her offside hand too. I mean,
yeah,
she
did
was
go
going to
over
her right. She got her left up there.
Yeah,
man, it was I watched that thing like 40 times. Just an incredible stop.
Yeah, you actually want to go up with the hand higher or the arm higher. So, like, if you're diving to the left, you want to reach your right hand out there.
Right. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
all right.
that's just kind of
regardless.
Inside
she knew what she was doing, and she was all the way up there. And the save was so clutch because a minute later, a couple SLU players managed to retain possession a little past the half line, despite some contact from Xavier. It was physical, but they let him play on. And the second one was Gaby, who passed it over to Kelly. Kelly takes a couple small dribbles back the opposite way, turns, and just blasts a curving, arcing shot to the far side of the net. Outstanding equalizer there. And then there she is again in the 75th minute. She had a free kick from outside the box, kind of near the corner. It was a tough angle, and she just hit it right at the keeper as hard as she could. Keeper got her hands on it, and it wasn't enough. And all of a sudden, it's 3-2 SLU, 15 minutes to go, and that wound up being all they needed.
I mean, that's 2 goals right there where the keeper needs to make a save. I think she should have saved that 15-minute goal, and she sure as hell should have saved this 75th minute go-ahead goal. And there's your game right there. Run us down all the pertinent numbers in this one.
Xavier outshot SLU 10-6. They put 7 on net compared to SLU's 5. Xavier had all 4 corner kicks in this game, which is rare. Normally SLU wins that stat. Again, this was a good team, and they're playing on Xavier's home turf. SLU had 16 fouls to Xavier's 13, but Xavier had 4 yellow cards to SLU's 3. So physical game out there on the turf in Cincinnati, but SLU came away with a really nice win, Zach.
Yeah, they followed it up Sunday the 11th with a 3-0 win versus SIUE. This one, the score would indicate a closer game than it actually was. This was an exercise in SIUE defending for most of the game. They did start out on the front foot. It's kind of funny. SIUE put a little pressure on them early. Obviously that we scored within the first minute, but it looked like SIUE was gonna, I think this goal just completely took them out of the game as far as attacking goes.
SIU came out a little hot, and SLU just saw right through it. The SIUE goalkeeper got her hands on Emily Gaby's
It was
shot.
right at her.
She batted it down. Yeah. And Caroline Kelly's right there for the rebound. I don't think she even realized how close Kelly was, or maybe how fast she could get to that spot, because she just sort of batted it down almost as if she was expecting it to keep it. And nope, put it in right past her.
So one thing keepers will do on a hard shot directly at them, just to kind of dampen the blow on their fingers, is to just catch it, but direct it down so that it bounces back up and then they grab it. And that's kind of what happened here, but it was almost like the keeper was in between doing that and catching it. Right. And it ended up between her knees, and it bounced out just enough to where Kelly could get to the ball without causing a foul. So kudos to Don Tebow for not whistling that dead.
Yeah.
And waving off the goal.
And you can't be indecisive when Caroline Kelly's charging at you.
No, you cannot.
You got to know exactly what you're going to do with that ball.
How about this 55th minute goal?
Abby Miller PK. What can we say about the PKs this season, except they've just been really solid with them, especially her.
The move to draw the PK was unbelievable. It was such a ballsy, I'm way faster than you. Try to stop me. She literally just played the ball to the side of the player, around the player, and then ran around the other side. Just turned on the jets, accelerated, and the defender had no choice. Took her down, clipped her on the way by, and this goal, again, I thought the keeper had a chance at this one. The keeper did have a chance at this one. It was just she didn't get down quick enough. It was within her grasp, though.
Yeah. Well struck.
Yes.
Had she not been as tough with it, keeper may have had more of a chance. But in the 61st minute, SLU kind of put this away for good. Hannah Frederick and Hannah Larson. SLU does that thing out of a corner kick where they they do a short corner, and they've got kind of a 2-on-0 for a little room to do something with it, rather than just sort of lobbing one in. So Frederick on a little give and go action out of a corner kick with Hannah Larson. She gets just inside the edge of the box and managed to put just enough on it. Low kick, skipped along the grass there and just squeaked it in the inside edge. SIUE keeper, this is another one she probably should have had.
Yes.
And it just kind of trickled by her in the near post. 3-0 SLU, and that ended up being all they needed.
Yeah, great game for the Billikens. 24-2 on shots, 11-0 on goal. That means Puricelli, as I believe Lord Elrond posted or pointed out on Billikens.com. Puricelli gets a shutout without having to even touch the ball with her hands really off a shot. Corners were 7-0 Billikens, and the fouls were 21-15 SIUE. With the edge there, SIUE got the game's only yellow card. Pete, where do we think the Billikens will land? They're now 7-1 after the conference season, currently 15 in the coaches poll. Top drawer going to start taking notice. It's odd. Usually top drawer ranks teams before coaches.
it kind of felt like that, at least with the men's team last season, I think, if memory serves. But I think they've got to, Top Drawer Soccer had Xavier number 21. I got to think Xavier's out and Slew's in. I don't know. I would have to go through the top 25 and kind of look at everybody who won and lost over the last week. To be honest, I'm not going to do that. But I think this is probably enough for Slew to move up to like a kind of 12, just maybe a few spots in that 12, 13, maybe in the coaches poll. I'm going to just go ahead and assume a couple teams above them lost. And in Top Drawer Soccer, I think they're going to get into the kind of high teens. That's kind of what I'm feeling in terms of where they are right now. They're 7-1, and I think the key here is that one was to Notre Dame, which is now 7-0, undefeated, and they've conceded only 3 goals this season on 21 scores. They feel like a Final Four caliber team to me right now.
Oh yeah,
and I know they're about to start a really tough ACC season, but regardless, that team clearly a class above anyone else Slew has played this season. And the only team that Slew has not been able to outclass. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for rankings here. I don't know if you agree, disagree, Zach?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think if you're going to watch another NCAA women's soccer game that's not a Billiken game, like I would check out Notre Dame, North Carolina. That's going to be probably an absolute slugfest. North Carolina's number 1, I believe, right now, and Notre Dame, I mean, they have to be in the top 5, I think top 3. They're very, very good. Coming up next for the Billikens, are they also playing at LaSalle this week? I want to double check that and make sure we just didn't copy it. Thursday the 15th at LaSalle, and then Sunday the 18th at Richmond. So a little bit of a road swing. I think Shields said it. She talked about how difficult it is to go on the road and playing Xavier on the weeknight and then coming back home. And of course, you're traveling from one away game to another. It complicates things even further. So it'll be interesting to see how they play, and they should fare well. Obviously, they are the class of the league right now. The A10 women's soccer has been pretty strong this year too.
Yeah, and I kind of like that they start with 2 on the road, 3 out of the first 4 on the road. I know that's a little grueling, but it does mean it's kind of their schedule is kind of a mirror this year because their last 2 were at home, 3 of the last 4 are at home. So it does mean you get a lot of home time before the A10 tournament. And the nice thing about the A10 tournament is all but the final are on campus sites. And if this team is as good as we think and we know that they are, I would bet pretty much money on them being one of those campus sites pretty comfortably on those first 2 dates.
Where's the final?
It looks like, the final will be at a campus site as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that's wild.
Yeah, okay. All right, finals at a campus
top
site as well.
Seed.
So Slew has a chance, assuming that they let's just, hypothetically speaking, that they wind up being the number 1 seed going into that. They would play 5 straight games at home to end the year.
Yeah.
They've got VCU and St. Joe's at home, and then they would have 3 A10 tournament games potentially at home. So that sets up really, really nicely, not having to travel before then the following week, November 11th, you're traveling to the NCAA tournament. So anyway, I kind of like that they're starting with these road tests at LaSalle and at Richmond. And I certainly wouldn't want to be any other A10 women's program right now because Slew looks like they could steamroll this conference.
Pete, why don't we talk about 2 Men in the Garden real quick?
Yeah, let's do it because this weekend I kind of realized it's been a minute since I've had their dill pickles. I talked about their bread and butter and how I'm not a bread and butter pickle guy, and then I wind up eating a whole jar of theirs in about 3 days. But the dill is really the sweet spot for me, and I love their dill pickles. They've got the dill, they've got the garlic right there in the jar. There's so much flavor. It's great. If you've ever gotten, it's a grocery store brand, Grillos, that they come in a plastic jar, but they've also got the dill, the garlic right in there. But a few days after you open one of those, it gets really kind of harsh and astringent. That does not happen at all with these 2 Men in a Garden dill pickles. I'm telling you, they're outstanding, and it's kind of a challenge not to open up a jar and just eat the whole thing. they really are that good. So I recommend them strongly. They're at stores all over the St. Louis area, or you can find them at twomeninagarden.com. Once again, that's 2meninagarden.com, or at 2Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter.
Pete, now the reason people generally listen to us, men's basketball, the full schedule is now official. With the release of the A10 conference schedule, and thank goodness our media relations team works a little bit faster than the one at Fordham, because we would have had to wait a day to get an official graphic. Just
That's
absolutely
right.
Insane.
That is wild. Yeah.
Pete, what are your thoughts? That's why people come. That's why people come and listen to us. They want to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so we're gonna do mine first on this one, because
Yes.
me personally, this schedule. I don't want to say that this conference schedule is as bad as it gets, but for me personally, it's close. Um, I I said on the last show a couple of years ago, we kind of got a little complacent because we started conference 5-0 against a little bit easier schedule. This year we start out with road games, which we know the A10 on the road, it's hard,
Oh, it
right?
sucks.
It really sucks. But we've got two winnable ones, St. Joe's and UMass, a good UMass team, but first year Frank Martin program there. They're a program in transition. And then we come home to face another program in transition, St. Bonaventure, who lost their whole starting lineup from last year. George Mason at home. And then we go to George Washington. So it's another kind of 5 games that we should win all 5 of those. Will we? I don't know. Maybe we go 4-1. Maybe we drop one that we shouldn't in there. But all that means is that this winds up being a backloaded schedule, and we finish against Richmond on the road, Loyola Chicago at home, VCU on the road, and then Dayton at home. Now, Dayton at home, senior day, senior night, whatever time it's going to be, that's great, because that could be potentially for the conference at that point. We don't know how records are going to shape up, but those are, at this point thought to be the top 2 teams in the league. So that's great. I love that part. But this is a back heavy schedule. It really, really is. And I think that's just going to be a grueling, February. That's just it's a really hard. When you look at February, we've got VCU, Rhode Island at home. We go to Dayton. We've got Davidson, Duquesne at home, and then those last 4 that I already told you about: Richmond, Loyola, VCU, Dayton. That's not many kind of weak, opponents in the A10. Maybe that Duquesne game, maybe Rhode Island, but I think they're a lot better this year. So we have a soft January and a tough February, and that to me is really tough. Now, the other reason I think this is tough, and I'll let you get into this more, this is not the best travel schedule if you're a SLU fan in St. Louis looking to get out to games. The 2 that I'll specifically call out. One is that Dayton game. It's on a Friday night. Unlucky for me personally, because that's my wife's 40th birthday weekend, and that's right after I get back from a work trip. Again, just bad luck. But the other one that makes less sense than me is, we talked about before, based on our opponents, we didn't have a lot of opportunities to kind of combo up weekends. Like we didn't have the 2 Philly games or the 2 DC games on the road or anything like that. But what we did have was the 2 Richmond games. Richmond and VCU, we knew we were both playing them on the road. We're playing them a week apart, with Loyola at home in between. So we're not staying in Richmond the whole time. And they're both on Tuesday nights. So we play at Richmond on a Tuesday night, February 21st. We come home to play Loyola that Saturday. And then Tuesday night, we go back out to Richmond and play VCU. And I just, regardless of the fact that, people who listen to this know by now, my brother lives there. I want to visit him and, spend a long weekend and everything. Again, like the Dayton game, purely selfish reasons. but I don't see how that makes any sense at all. Not to, of all the games that we, do play back to back on the road, George Washington, Loyola, Davidson, Fordham, none of them are close to each other, and these two are a week apart. And to me, Zach, that's just really unfortunate.
Yeah, it really stinks. I was hoping to get out to a few road games this year. Make some content out of it, have some fun. Loyola's on a Wednesday night. That stinks. I'm gonna try to make it work, but it's annoying. More PTO that I really wanted to take there, especially for a drivable game. That you mentioned the Tuesday nights and the Friday nights, and I wonder how much the A10 takes into account. Can we get them on TV? It seems like our best games are on weeknights, and it's kind of felt that way for a long time, or weeknights or Friday nights, so like Friday 10 on ESPN. It just feels like they value what they can get on national TV versus the ease of travel or for fans or even the teams. I mean, how stupid! Like we've got to go to Virginia, come back, then go back to Virginia. Like that's ridiculous for the team, not even the fans.
It is, and I would feel really bad for the team if they were flying commercial for all that stuff still. And they're very fortunate to be chartering because it's not like there's a nonstop from St. Louis to Richmond anymore.
There is not. I can confirm that.
That's gone, and that's the same thing if I were flying from Cincinnati. There's just not great times for that, and you've got layovers in Charlotte or DC or Newark or wherever. It's just it doesn't work well, especially for fans traveling. And again, that's on a Tuesday, so I don't know, but I don't think we have a huge alumni club presence in Richmond. We had a good crowd at the game at Richmond last season, but I know a lot of people came down from DC. A little bit harder to do on a Tuesday night, even with some options to get down from DC and back. So that's really tough. Another thing I noticed about the schedule, the first 3 sets of games in January, we play Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. We play at Davidson on Friday the 27th, and then the next 3 weeks we play a Tuesday, Friday split, which is kind of weird. And then we go back to a Wednesday, Saturday, then a Tuesday, Saturday, and then that Tuesday, Friday again for VCU and Dayton to finish the season. So it is kind of, the games, they seem to be relatively consistent in spacing, if not necessarily the nights. We historically, I think, have played more Wednesdays than Tuesdays, but if you look at the end of January and February, 4 of the last 5 weeknights, not including those Friday night games, they're on Tuesdays, and only the Davidson on February the 15th is a Wednesday. Just kind of an unusual alignment there.
I think that Loyola Chicago situation is really unfortunate. They gave us a home Saturday night game, which obviously makes it a lot easier for the Gryffindors over there at Loyola to come down here and kind of pack our arena. Now it's great for money, but it's not fair that we can't get an evening game, I guess.
Yeah,
or a weekend game.
And I look for the sort of the Western outpost teams of this league, which is us and Loyola, and especially to a lesser extent Dayton and maybe even Duquesne a little bit. But for the teams that are farther west, I kind of feel like the least they could do is give us weekend to travel. And look, it's pretty fair with Dayton here. We play there on a Friday, they play here on a Friday. I'm fine with that. It's Loyola on a Wednesday. Their first time in the league is kind of, as you say, especially given that they play here in St. Louis on a weekend. It's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, it's not fun. A couple of roster additions were made official. Well, one we knew about, one we've talked about. The second being one that we didn't know about.
Yeah, and I'll go with the one we didn't know about first. His name's Phil Jones. He's a freshman aeronautics major out of Mount Carmel High School in Chicago. So he actually tore his ACL going into a senior season of high school and only played 4 games late in the year. Bit of an unknown, especially given the injury. And not even they have him on the roster now, so we know his number. But we don't know his height or weight, so he's a little more mysterious than the other walk-ons, Zach.
Yeah, Phil Jones sounds like either a cult leader or like a soccer player, like an English footballer.
Right.
It's like such a nondescript name. Actually, I think Phil Jones is the name of an English soccer player. Probably why I thought that. But Lamont Evans was made official. I believe we have covered this and covered his lineage.
Yeah, so he's a 6 foot, 155-pound sophomore communication major from Hollywood, Florida. He was a walk-on at South Florida as a freshman after graduating from high school at Blanche Eli or Ellie High School.
I think that Blanche Eli is right.
He only appeared in 1 game at USF. Again, he was a walk-on there. Kind of the interesting footnote here is that his dad, Lamont Evans, was caught up in that FBI NCAA coach scandal. He was one that kind of they brought the hammer down on him, and he was an assistant coach at Oklahoma State. And they did not bring the hammer down on some of the head coaches who have even gained lucrative contracts in the time since. A lot of the stuff these guys are doing, they're now or were arrested for doing and charged for doing. They're now doing out in the open competitively within the purview of the NCAA and every federal agency. So, do with that what you will, but it is an interesting footnote in this guy's bio, and certainly he had nothing to do with whatever his dad got involved with.
On the recruiting end, the Billikens, I don't want to say lost a recruiting battle, but this one sounds, speaking of doing things out in the open, that used to be heavily against the rules. Kachi Nze committed to Xavier.
He had Xavier in his Final Four along with SLU, VCU, and Iowa. And I know I've told you and some other people that this is exactly the kind of peer group I like us recruiting in. You've got a Big Ten school, a Big East school. You've got a better A10 program in there. These aren't blue bloods. These are schools we can aspire to in certain ways and also compete with. And I really like seeing us alongside schools like that for what it's worth in a guy's finalists. His commitment came a few days after his visit to Xavier, and he never even wound up visiting VCU or Iowa. SLU was the first visit. We actually felt pretty good about him, and man, am I high on this kid's potential. And I think Xavier must be too, because if rumors are to be believed, they came through with a pretty big NIL package for him. Kind of an interesting move for Sean Miller, who's spent the last 12 years competing for 4- and 5-star talent. And he's going in this aggressive on a 3-star. He knows talent, and it means he saw something. And just really interesting to me. So bummer to miss out on this one, because I think he was the piece that really tied the front court together once Okoro and Forrester move on next year.
Pete, I want to jump over to volleyball from here. This freaking program, man. I have no idea what is happening here. We talked about the debacle of the St. Thomas game. I just don't. They come back and they win 2 of 3 at DePaul. And Peter, it's not who you think they beat. Like if you would have guessed, if I say the Billikens played Eastern Michigan, Virginia Tech, and DePaul over the weekend, and they won 2 of 3. That's an easy one, right?
Well, and especially because if you looked at the records going into this one, because didn't you say Eastern Michigan and DePaul were both winless?
I believe they were both winless at the time.
Yeah.
Or close to it.
Right.
I think DePaul may have won 1 game that week leading up to it.
Right. So you've got 2 teams who are thought to be pretty bad, and you've got Virginia Tech, who's an ACC program. all SLU does is go to a 3-2 win over Eastern Michigan, a 3-1 win over Virginia Tech, and then they drop 3-1 to DePaul.
Yeah, and who didn't play?
Mac Hill. I mean, she had a tough game against Missouri State. Didn't play this weekend. Do we know what's going on here? Is she injured or what's up?
I don't know. It's something that I feel like I should. Well, I would go back and watch these games, but they're on Flow Sports.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I know I'd be interested to see if she was there. Because I don't remember reading anything in the reviews or the recaps of the games on SLUBillikens.com. But we'll get a chance to see if she is laid up or anything on the 16th and 17th when the Billikens head back home for the Billiken Classic. Iowa State, Missouri State, and Kansas City will be. I'm sorry, I don't think it wasn't a Missouri State game she played, and I apologize. I screwed up that in the notes. That's why Peter said that. It was Central Michigan. Sorry, was the game that she had a tough one. Really not such a good game. But I don't know how I messed that one up. But yeah, Missouri State Friday at 7 p.m., Kansas City Saturday 10 a.m., and then Iowa State at 7 p.m. And those games will be on ESPN Plus all the way across. Pete, it looks like we've figured out how to show. I guess we got all that money that we got from the A10 is going to good use, because volleyball was one of those that wasn't on all the time. They usually were only on ESPN Plus when the men's soccer team wasn't playing. And I mean, I think that's the case this weekend, but in the past they streamed all the games from the Billiken Classic. So that money is clearly being put to good use. Yeah. Over in field hockey, they played twice this weekend at Sportport, or this week at Sportport. They had their first win of the season. My goodness, I'm having a shocker right now. 2-1 over Stonehill on Friday the 9th. Stonehill got the game's first goal in the second quarter. Brooke Mason scores her first goal of the season early in the second half, assisted by Jenna Klars. Josefina Perez scored with about a minute and a half left in the game. Abby Vitas had the assist off a corner stroke. SLU outshot Stonehill 25-13, and Sasha Sanders made 6 saves. They followed that up with a loss to Ball State in OT on Sunday the 11th. Ball State scored in the first quarter off a rebound. Third quarter, Olivia Smith scores off a corner, assisted by Josefina Perez. In OT, Emma Hilton scored her second of the game to win it for Ball State. This one, again, off a rebound. The shots were 19-10 SLU. Shots on goal 6-5 SLU. SLU had 9 penalty corners to Ball State's 3. Next up, Friday the 16th at UMass. Sunday the 18th at Bryant. We're heading into A10 play. I mean, it's like, as a Midwest program playing field hockey against East Coast teams, it's going to be a gauntlet as far as just getting through this season. It has to be tough.
It is. And, look, they're 1-5 now. It's not a great record. These are close games. They lost 2-1. They've lost 2-1 a few weeks ago to BU. They lost 2-0 to Central Michigan. They were blown out 6-0 to Iowa, 6-1 Michigan State. Those are Big Ten teams, whatever. They're keeping it close though, Zach. I mean, this kind of feels like they're starting to maybe turn a corner in terms of being a little more competitive. These are closer scores than, for the most part, what we saw last year.
Yeah, it's interesting in the non-conference, because really you're not going to be good. You're not going to compete with. I mean, there's such a divide between decent to really good programs and the bottom feeders. There's so many not good programs. It feels like it would be interesting if Zoe Atkins took an approach the way it seems like the swimming and diving team did, play a lot more regional games. But to her credit, she's, playing teams like Michigan State like Iowa. So we'll see how things go in A10 play. I think that's a real test. I know VCU streams their games, I believe. So does VC. Wait, I said VCU. Sorry. So does Richmond, I think, as well. So hopefully that Richmond game will be on ESPN Plus, because it's hard to watch them. They can't really stream SLU home games. Like I said, they struggled to stream volleyball. They struggled to stream 2 games at once. So we'll see. That wraps everything up for this week, I think, Pete, unless you got anything you want to chime in on.
No, I don't, Zach. I think we covered it this week. Got into the weeds on a couple unusual subjects, and
open invite to Kim English.
Open invite to Kim English. Open invite to Austin McBroom.
Yes, Austin McBroom.
He's welcome on anytime. I mean, I have about as much interest in his actual content as I do in Grandy Grace's OnlyFans. So, which is to say, I am not going to look at either of those things. And, but if they want to come on the show and talk about it, I'm up for it.
I did listen to an interview with the Island Boys. One of them, a lot more than you would expect. So
Zach tapped his pen on his head as if to say he's got something going on upstairs.
Yeah, who knew?
All right.
Well, that wraps everything up. Follow us on Twitter at Midtown Mad Pod, at Peter is a tweeter, at Zach Miller MMP, and on Instagram at Midtown Mad Pod. Of course, we appreciate any and all suggestions you might have for the show. Please go subscribe if you already haven't. If you're watching on YouTube and you made it this far, go down and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you haven't left a review, drop us 5 stars. As always, Pete, go Bills.
Go Bills.